Hello and welcome. Today is all about the new Batman action figure, which is actually called the construction figure, which is set number 76259. That is their new 8+ set, just like the Wolverine. Now what I've done, just like the Wolverine, is I've already ripped this open and I've already got it built. And I can tell you there are some very, very big and also subtle differences between the two with regards to the height and also bits and pieces like that. So first thing first, what obviously we'll do, we'll go through the instruction booklet. But it did come with a cape, so you do get an extra box compared to the Wolverine one. Now just like the Wolverine one, you had one big bag one and one inner bag one, just like you did for bag number 2 as well, and it just came with a few spare pieces. If I remember, I will show you that at the end. But just like we did with the Wolverine, what we'll do, we'll go over all the box artwork, then we'll go through the instruction manual, then we'll get the figure itself and go through all of the different poses you can put the thing in, because it balances really, really well. Then I'll grab the Wolverine as a comparison just to see how it differs between the two. So starting with the box artwork, you can see it's the Lego Batman symbol up at the top. In the top right hand corner you have got the DC artwork, and if you can spot the little Easter egg, there is the bat symbol just up at the top. So the more that you look at this box artwork, the more that you can see. I keep seeing more and more things every time I do it. This is obviously not the first time I've tried to film this segment, but as we come down, he's also stood on something. Now do you recognise what he is stood on? Because I don't, but it does look quite familiar and I don't know why. So if you can let us know in the comments below, then obviously please do. As we knock the box artwork onto its face, you can see just here that you've got the nice 1:1 size scale of the actual cowl. It is slightly different on the Wolverine box, but again we've already gone over that. But on the side it's upside down, but that's what you'll be looking at on that side, and that is what you're going to be looking at on that side. Now the back of the box, we start from bottom up to top. Again, you're going to get some nice photos with this. You can see you've got the little yellow and black in the bottom left hand corner. You can see you've got all the different bits and pieces regarding his knee pads, you've got the bits and pieces on his ankle, then you've got all the bits that you need to look at on his belt, then you've got the symbol, and then you have got all the spikes and everything on his biceps, triceps, and you can see how the cowl all connects. So we will take a very, very good look at this minifigure once we've had a look at the instruction booklet, and we'll get some posing done. So moving on to the instruction booklet, you're going to have to excuse the lighting. I am using the new lights, but I'm not 100% sure the best position, so fingers crossed this now might be a little bit brighter, because I've got to figure out which way I'm putting the table as well. So it's all new for this one, but you can see it's got the set number up at the top, again symbol up at there, and then you have got all of the bricks up at the top just in there, so you can see hopefully that's coming through nice and clear. Now moving on, what do we have on the inside? It's saying that how they are going to be going into paper bags sooner rather than later on the left hand side, and then you've got the digital download and instructions on the right. Like I've been saying, they are starting to push that more and more. But you can see, just like the other construction figures, bag number 1 is all to the torso, and then as we come down you can see bag number 2 is the arms, legs and the head, which obviously I will rip off on this one just so you can see how sturdy and strong they are. Starting in with bag number 1, and then we go all the way to the end. Is there anything else hidden within this? You do have the one big cape on this one, so that is the other thing, and they do have quite a lot of printed pieces on, which is obviously always nice to see, but that is it. So there are 93 pages into completion, and it's just 141 steps. Right, it is finally time to have a look at Batman himself and just see all of the little detail that's in it. So we've got some differences with regards to the fingers, and there's some little bits and pieces different on the forearms which we need to have a look at. He's got a little bit of body armor as well. Now as we come round and down, you can see what the legs look like. With regards to the shine, that is just the shine on the plastic, because it's super shiny, super clean. But if you come on the back, the cape does not have that shine. It is just the cloth cape on the back. So again, excuse the backdrop, this is all under construction, so there's lots and lots of sort of new bits and pieces to come, so hopefully every video it will be slightly different. Now you can see up on the back of his shoulders just here, you have got some body armor, and then you've got some more bits and pieces on the back just there. And then as we come through onto the waist and across his bottom, there's nothing there as such, so he's vulnerable around the back end, but you have got some really nice detail there in the back of the hamstrings, and then you've got a good chunky calf just on the side, so you can see just there just how big his calves are. And then with regards to it standing at the bottom, it is nice and simple and nice and sturdy. So before we go into some serious sort of poses, what I'll do is I'll do what we did with the other one. We'll spin him round, we'll get him into a split position, so you can see that he comes all the way down. So that's what Batman looks like in a split position, looking very sorry for himself. But if we get nice and close to his face, we can now have a good look at his head mobility. Now it will twist all the way around, nice and simple, so that'll come all the way over. What you do have to is lift it up ever so slightly over the little pins just on the side of his cape, so you can see just there he's got the 2 pins on the side. Now his head will go all the way back, so that's nice and simple, and it will go all the way forward, so it's got good range of motion in his head. Again, if you wanted to just turn him over to the side, his chin will just tap the top of his shoulder on the one side, and again it will go to there and no further because it is hitting that pin. But if you tip his head ever so slightly back, that is fine. If you have it forward, that is as much as you can go one way and the other. Ear to shoulder, that is it. Because of those pins, whereas the Wolverine, it was the completely opposite way round, where the ear to shoulder was really great range of motion. That is it. So it'll only go from there to there on there, but this one has a lot more of a twist compared to the Wolverine, which it doesn't. Now, with regards to his heads, I did say I'm going to strip them apart. Listen, that is what that looks like. Yes, it's terrifying, but it has a small ball on this one, so you can see it's just nice and simple. That is how that goes in, and it has got a good bit of suction. So as this gets pushed in, that is in solid, and you can pick it up from that. So you've got some good bits and pieces that you can do with it. Now, moving on to the actual arm and shoulder. So if we get him up and around, so we'll get him in just in there. So we'll start off with the arm. That will come all the way around, so you can see that's nice and simple. Same on both. You have got the shoulder pad just up in there. You'll have to get that potentially out of the way. Now again, if I rip this off, there we go. It's got a big socket, big ball on there, and that's a big bracket that thing will just push into. So listen again to the suction. Nice and simple, and you can pick it up from it, so it is sturdy enough. Now, with regards to the elbow joint, that is as far back as it will go, so it won't go back, I don't think, as far as the Wolverine, but I guess what you can do is you can manipulate these pieces just on the inside, just here. So if you wanted to sort of chop and change that about, you can do, but you can bring the elbow all the way into the shoulder. So if you wanted to smack somebody underneath, or if you wanted to come all the way over and then underneath, you can do, and then you can only get to about there on that. Now, this is the only thing that does keep pinging off. This is just his little sort of body armor bits and pieces that he's got, but it is just sort of overhanging on that. So I'm not 100% sure if I have actually built that correctly, because I was in a little bit of a rush when I was putting that together. I'm kind of looking at this now, and it does seem to be ever so slightly different, and I can't quite figure out what I have done. So I think I put that one in the wrong place. I think that is supposed to be there, because that is the other one that I knocked off. So that curves around to the outside, that curves around to the outside. So there we go. So now he has got a little bit more range on the back. So it was me just being stupid. And again, it does look smart with regards to just doing some different bits and pieces, so you can do whatever it is that you want to do. And again, with the fingers, you've only got 3 on this one for some reason instead of 4. Don't know why, but they have changed that for the Wolverine again. So you can make a fist, and you've got the thumb that will tuck in, and again, it just spins around nice and simply. Same thing on both arms, so that's not too much of a problem. Now onto his torso, that will spin all the way around, so that's nice and simple. Now again, we'll rip that off. You have got a big ball on this one, and just without that stood up just on so, if I put him back into the split position, you can see what it is like just like that. So we'll keep moving these bits and pieces around, but you can see, if I try and just grab something else, just how much flex he's got within his hips, so you can pick it up and do whatever you want from that, and it's not going to fall off and fall apart. But it is easy enough to just to pop back on, so you can see just on his torso it should clip down. There we go, nice and sturdy, and again you can just lift it up from that, and he stays stuck in that split position until you want to do something else with it. So it has got a good amount of range of motion within it. You do have to be a little bit careful where you're pushing on the back of the belt and for some of the pieces, because with this one, because you've got some bits and pieces that will overhang, you could catch it on something, but in all fairness, giving it a good shake, and it's not really doing too much. Now moving on to the legs and the knees, because I know you guys and girls like this kind of thing. Right, moving on to the feet. Now on the side, it's got very good range of motion on both sides, so if you wanted him to walking around like a zombie, or like he's definitely hurt himself, you can have him like that, and it's not looking very good for himself on there. So you can see you can get him into some weird and wonderful poses if you want to. That does look very painful like that. So can he roll his ankle all the way in? The answer to that question is yes, as the battery runs out. Now you can get them all the way in if you wanted to, so that does look horrifically painful as well. If you were just to stand him on and roll his ankle in, you can, if you wanted to, get him in that sort of pose and do, I've not changed anything up top, but again that's what that looks like up at the top. Now with regards to his feet, you might be spotting that already, that if I bring him down and round just like the Wolverine, it will not go on the base plate, because this is completely, I say tiled, it's made up of multiple pieces up at the bottom, so it's hard to see through the little camera lens I'm using, but there is one piece there, 2, 3, that's another piece that kicks in 4, and then it wraps around, and you've got all these different bits of studs, and then you've got the Technic bit where it sort of gives it its stability. Now it is strong enough, enough, and I don't think it's going to worry too much with regards to the heat. Now going from just left to right, so across, like a bit of flexion there and there, that is as far as you've got. So it will just rock a little bit from side to side, but it will come in a lot, as you can see, and it will really go out that way. So again, if I can I rip this one off? I don't think I can without actually breaking the whole thing, or physically breaking his leg. But you can see on this one, it's actually through the Technic pin just up on that bit. Now that is his knee hyperextending, which is never a good thing. Now with regards to his knees, you can see if I bring him down onto them, he has got the ability, if he wants to do this, and then you can get him into some punching and fighting positions if you wanted to, and doing whatever it is that you would like, so he can be in that position. They do hold their own body weight very, very well. Now don't forget, he is just on a very, very slippy table, and if you want to get him doing some sort of weird and wonderful, whatever you want to call that, then you can do, because he obviously looks like he's crawling. I guess if you were to twist his head round and do whatever and get him down, and you've got something underneath him that he's about to smash, then that's absolutely fine. Now with regards to other little bits and pieces, I want to carry on with his knees. He can, again, that's the same piece that has fallen off. Onto his knees it will come in, but that is as far back as it will go. But then you can get him up. So if you want him balancing on his knees and doing whatever it is that you want to do, he will stay on there. If I get him side on, it has got enough flex within it, as you can see, that it will do what it needs to do. So you've got the ankle bit just in there, and then it wraps round up into the thigh, and then you've got the gold bit on the belt, and then it comes through. So again, if you were to have him just on the side, just like so, and then you were to twist him in from the stomach and get his head down, that is the kind of bits and weird and wonderful stuff that you could have him in. Again, if you wanted to get some photos from underneath, then obviously you could do, you can get yourself some half decent angles with it, again, if you were in for your photography. I said this before, I think the stop motion stuff might be a little bit difficult, just because it is quite hard to get it in certain poses, but then things like this, it gives you the luxury of just being able to balance it on his knees, and then it's easy enough to just literally to stand it up. So if I just flick it out, and you can just see we're there, done, he's on his feet, and he's there. So that is it. It's on the really, really slippy table, and it looks absolutely fine. And again, he's about to give somebody a good old wallop and a big old uppercut. And I think his head and everything looks nice and smart. So now if we compare it to the Wolverine, so obviously the first thing that's going to stand out is actually the colour, because you can see how dark the black is on the Batman compared to how ridiculously bright the Wolverine is. So I'm very, very surprised just by how bright blue the Wolverine is, and then obviously got the really nice yellow and the really nice red. There is a full unboxing video available like we've done on this one. Now coming over and on to the Batman, you can see that even with the Batman hunched over, he is taller. Now the reason for this is because of the head. So his ball up at the top is like that, whereas his one is slightly different. So you can see as it comes in, his head pin is completely vertical in the hole, whereas that one is not, it is back on itself. So this gives you the ability, if you wanted to then start to crawl and do some other little bits and pieces like that. And again, you can get them into some weird and wonderful positions and getting them into some sort of push-up position if you wanted to, and you can then do whatever it is you want to do with that one. But with regards to photos and things, I think these two will work well side by side. I've tried to get Batman in some sort of a pose as he's about to have a bit of a punch as Wolverine starts coming in. So Wolverine has not actually slipped from that position whatsoever, as I've been trying to mess around with trying to get Batman in a sort of wonderful pose, but it's a bit more difficult with Batman because for some reason, I don't know if it's the cape, I don't know if he's got a little bit more weight on his shoulders, he does not want to stand up as freely, and his feet keep slipping a little bit more on the table. But I don't know if it's because I've actually cleaned the table before I did this, so that might be at Batman's disadvantage. But if you do get him in a slight different stance, I have got his feet completely staggered and wide apart. If I was to crack his waist over one more, which is what I was trying to do, he actually then does start to fall over. But I think as I start to pan out, I think those two don't look too bad together. Let us know in the comments below, let me know what you think. But I think that is it. I am done. Hopefully it's come through on the camera cleanly enough, and I have managed to get him into a slightly better pose on this one. Just staggered his feet completely different. But I think it does look very, very effective, and it does work on the shelf for what I want to do. Don't think it's going to work with it in your own Lego City display. But again, if I've missed anything, we'll just go over the bits and pieces on the top of his hat, so you can see his hat, his cowl. You can see up at the top there, you've got just the rubber pieces up there. And again, if you wanted, I guess, to change them, if he ever upgraded the top, then you can do. That is what it looks like from the back in that pose. think it does the trick. I don't think you can moan about it too much. But if you are thinking of getting these, or if you have got any of these in your collection, then obviously please do let me know in the comments below what you think of it, and obviously if you have got it, or would you buy it. I managed to get these in a sale, so I'm glad I did. Don't think I'd want to pay full price for them, but then at the same time I think there's a lot that you can do with them. Obviously I'm a massive minifigure fan, so what I would like to do is maybe get the minifigure and then just add a minifigure just on the inside, and that'll be how I'll be displaying mine in the future. Now again, don't forget there's no stickers, it is all print. So you've got the print on the buckle, and then you've got the print on the chest as well, and you can see you have got the 4 little bits and pieces for the body armor, and then you've got a slightly different thing just underneath there, underneath his throat and on his neck, and we have already gone over the shoulder pad. But guys, if you can like this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be absolutely fantastic. But as always, thank you very much for watching. You lot take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ta-da.